Your mind never stops. Even after everything is over, after the room goes quiet, after you put your phone down and close your eyes, it keeps going. Replaying the same conversation, searching for the perfect thing you should have said, wondering if they understood you, wondering if they ever will. You've explained yourself 100 times, maybe more, and you're still exhausted. Why? Here's the truth nobody tells you. The problem was never the argument. It was never the rejection, the misunderstanding, or the person who got it wrong. The real suffering starts after. It starts in the silence, when your mind refuses to let go. And tonight, something is going to shift inside you. Buddhism teaches one of the most powerful truths about human suffering. Your peace dies the moment it depends on someone else's understanding, and most people spend their entire lives trapped in that exact prison without ever realizing it. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might be the most important thing your mind has needed for a very long time. Think about how much energy you've spent inside your own head, not just having conversations, but rehearsing them, mentally defending yourself, replaying what they said, what you wish you'd said. You're walking around carrying arguments with people who aren't even in the room, people who might not even be thinking about you at all. That kind of thinking doesn't fix anything, it just keeps the wound open. There's a very specific type of exhaustion that comes from constantly feeling misunderstood. Sleep doesn't fix it, a weekend doesn't fix it, because it's not physical tiredness. It follows you into the shower, into your car, into the quiet moments that were supposed to be peaceful. Your body is present, but your mind is stuck somewhere in the past, trying to finally win a conversation that already ended. Buddhism calls this attachment, and most people think attachment only means holding on to money or relationships, but there's a much quieter form of attachment that destroys peace from the inside. It's the attachment to being understood, the attachment to controlling how other people see you. The moment your inner calm depends on somebody fully getting your heart, your mind loses its ability to rest, because people are unpredictable. Some misunderstand you because they're hurting. Some because they're distracted, some because they can only see life through their own damage, and some people, honestly, just don't have the emotional depth to understand you at all. And that's not your fault. But it also cannot be your prison. Comment right now. What time is it where you are, and where in the world are you watching from? Here's something that cuts deep. A lot of people who constantly explain themselves didn't start that way as adults. It started much earlier. As children, many of us grew up in homes where our emotions were ignored, mocked, or rushed past. We learned that being understood was emotionally necessary to feel safe. We learned that if we didn't explain ourselves perfectly, we'd be dismissed. We learned that silence often meant emotional abandonment. A child who had to work hard just to be heard grows into an adult who panics the second they feel misunderstood. It doesn't feel like a small thing. The nervous system reacts like something dangerous is happening, because for a long time, it was. So now, as adults, when someone misreads our intentions, the body floods with urgency. Send another message, explain more, fix it, make them see the truth. But the relief never lasts. Because the problem was never just the misunderstanding, the problem is the emotional dependency on being understood in the first place. And listen closely, that dependency quietly drains your life force every single day. Think about how much of your mental energy is spent not on your actual life, but on managing what people think about you. You rehearse conversations before they happen. You replay them after they end. You edit yourself in real time to prevent judgment. You prepare emotional defenses against criticism that hasn't even come yet. You are exhausting yourself fighting a war that exists mostly inside your own head. The mind was never designed to constantly monitor every single perception other people have of you, and yet most of us spend our whole lives doing exactly that. Buddhism is very clear here. Peace doesn't come from controlling perception. Peace comes from releasing your attachment to perception altogether. This is not about becoming cold or not caring. It's about understanding something deeper. Your worth is not created by other people's understanding of you. Your truth doesn't disappear because someone read it wrong. The version of you that lives inside someone else's mind is not your responsibility to manage. Let that land for a second. You don't have to attend every misunderstanding you're invited to. Not every accusation needs a defense. Not every opinion deserves your emotional energy. And not every argument needs you to keep fighting inside your head after it's technically over. When someone replays a painful conversation for hours or days, it feels productive. It feels like your mind is working toward something. But most of the time you're not moving toward peace. You're just reopening the wound and calling it thinking. There's a big difference between reflection and rumination. Reflection asks, what can I learn from this? Rumination asks, how do I mentally survive this again and again until it finally feels different? One brings clarity, the other steals your rest. Here's the deeper truth. The reason arguments keep replaying isn't because you're weak. It's because your heart is still hoping for a different ending, still waiting for the moment they finally say, you were right, I understand, I see what I did. That invisible hope is the hook. You're not replaying the words. You're replaying the dream of finally feeling heard. And here is where Buddhism offers something that can change everything. The past is not alive on its own. It is kept alive by your attention. Every time you return to an old argument with emotional attachment, you feed it. Every time you rehearse the pain, you teach your body that the danger is still happening, and your body doesn't always know the difference between what's real and what's being vividly remembered. This is why you can feel completely drained after lying in bed doing nothing. You weren't doing nothing. You were fighting battles with people who weren't even there. So what do you do instead? You start by asking yourself one honest question. What am I still trying to get from this memory? An apology? Control? The feeling of being right? The ending I deserved but never got? You can recognize the need without feeding the replay. You can say, that hurt me, without building your home inside the hurt. You can say, I deserved better, without spending your whole life mentally arguing with someone who was never emotionally ready to meet you there. Your pain does not become real only when another person confirms it. You don't need their validation before you're allowed to heal. That's a form of emotional permission asking that keeps you permanently stuck. Real completion doesn't always come from the other person. Sometimes it comes from your own clear seeing, from deciding, even without the apology, even without the acknowledgement, that you know what you felt, you know what happened, and you don't need to keep reopening the wound to prove it was real. That is one of the most powerful decisions a human being can make. And here's the beautiful shift that happens when you stop chasing understanding from everyone. You start returning to yourself. You stop editing every sentence for approval. You stop explaining your boundaries like they're crimes. You stop trying to be emotionally convenient for people who were never careful with you. The mind that no longer needs to defend itself constantly becomes quiet in a way that nothing external could ever create. You begin speaking less, but meaning more. You explain less, but your presence becomes more grounded. You chase less, but your self-respect comes back. Over-explaining may have once protected you. It may have been the only way you knew how to stay emotionally safe. So don't shame that part of yourself. Honor it, and then gently teach it something new. You don't have to earn peace through perfect communication anymore. You don't have to convince everyone before you're allowed to rest. Because at the end of everything, the mind was never exhausted because people misunderstood you. It became exhausted because you believed your peace depended on making them understand, and now you know better. Real peace begins the moment you stop waiting for permission from the outside world, the moment misunderstanding stops feeling like danger, the moment silence stops feeling like rejection, the moment you stop abandoning yourself in the pursuit of being perfectly seen. You are allowed to be at peace, even when some people never truly understand your heart. That is not giving up. That is the beginning of freedom. If this reached something inside you tonight, drop this in the comments. I no longer need everyone to understand me to protect my peace, because sometimes one sentence becomes the beginning of healing for someone else reading it too. Like and subscribe to Buddhism Focus for more content that helps quiet the mind, release emotional pain, and bring you back to genuine inner stillness. You deserve that kind of peace, and you don't need anyone's permission to claim it.